Good morning, traders. Good morning, traders. Welcome back to the Market Color recap for the week. Today being the 24th of July, 2026. We're happy to have you all here on the Market Color. Quickly, we're going to be looking at currency pairs indices and synthetic indices as well, as we make a quick recap of what has happened all through the week and then what we possibly want to see as we wrap up the week. My name is CJ, and together with me, we have Avi Cynthia Demola Lekon, who are going to be joining us on today's market color analysis session. So stick to your screen and watch closely so that when your favorite or preferred currency pair is analyzed, you would be in the know and you would grab one or two things from it as it's being analyzed. Quickly, let's move over as we continue the analysis session, starting off with gold for today. Gold on the daily time frame, we can see that gold has made a clear distinction over the last 24 hours on the particular direction it might be heading to as we proceed. Now, if you look at it on the daily time frame, overall gold has been bearish on the daily time frame, so we're expecting further and further sales. We had a quick retracement in the beginning of the month, and we're seeing price selling back to the point where we had as our point of interest, which is right here at this particular low. Now, we're seeing that gold might fall below 4,000, but all the while it has gone below 4,000 within last month and this month. We've seen quick rejections from that level. Now, we would want to see a very strong break of the 4,000 price point, and then price should continue moving further and further downwards before we conclude on the sell. But for now, we're going to be sticking to lower time frame structure. For example, while we're looking at the 4-hour time frame, you can see that there was a clear break of structure on the 4-hour time frame, and then price has now been struggling to break further since it took out the high on the 4-hour time frame. Let me quickly show you that here on the screen. So you can see on the 4-hour time frame, gold has been struggling to break lows. Instead, it has been breaking high of late. Now you can see that this high was taken out and then price returned to this particular level. If you go back to the daily time frame, you'll see more reasons why price made that move. You can see here on the daily time frame, there was a very clear fair value gap. Price traded into the fair value gap yesterday, and then we could see the rejection from this morning. So for today, we are looking forward to a buy on gold. Look at 4-hour time frame. With all the sell to the downside, the only structure that was broken was here on the 1-hour time frame. But now we're seeing a bullish engulfing candle to the upside, which will be signaling a strong buy bias on gold this morning. So we're looking out for a buy on gold this morning. You can also see on the 1-hour time frame, it looks like structure is going to be broken right here. Once that happens, we'll be looking forward to more and more buys on gold. So on the 15 minutes time frame, where are we looking for possible entries from? One of the places I'm expecting gold to possibly return from, notice I use the word possibly because with this bullish move, might not return all the way here. So one thing that we want to see if on gold is if price returns here, will be very good for a buyback to the upside. So we're expecting that sell-off to the downside after it has broken the structure. We're expecting the sell-off to this level here, and then we'll buy to the upside. So for gold, my bias is a buy, and this is where I want to see a buy picking out from. Now let's switch over to the yen basket. On the yen basket, we'll see that the yen has broken this particular level right here, which is this week. And so far, it's not relenting with its bearish momentum, it's selling further and further to the downside. We want to see how far this is going to go. But then overall, we're still bearish on the yen pair and we want on the yen basket rather, and we want to see it keep selling as per our analysis so far. So it has broken this level. The only thing that we might see is a quick retracement to this particular level here, and then a continuous sell. Overall, I'm bearish on the yen basket. So the retracement that I said I was expecting to see, we may not see it play out outrightly, but when it does, we'll be looking to take advantage of it. Let's go straight to the yen pair, starting off with GBP JPY. Now look at GBP JPY. GBP JPY has suffered some ill fate this week. We saw that it struggled to make a clear distinction on the direction it's going to. But now, as the yen basket is looking very bearish, we might see a bullish GBP JPY. Looking at the candle of the day, you're seeing how bullish it has been so far. On the 4-hour time frame, we saw that after the struggle, we're seeing some move of GBP JPY to the upside. So we want to see it break further and further highs all the way to the upside. Now, if you look at it on the 1-hour time frame, you'll see that on the 1-hour time frame, it's making that move to the upside. We'll be looking for possible retracement, and then we'll join the buy to the upside. But the overall bias this morning on GBP JPY is a buy. Now, seeing that price has broken the high of the Asian session, we might just be looking for a quick retest and then a continuous buy to the upside. Look at one of the places we want to see GBP JPY return to, this fair value gap right here. If I see a return to this fair value gap today, I'll be taking a buy on GBP JPY from here. And then I'll be riding it all the way upwards. So looking for something like this on GBP JPY. And then we're targeting the highs above here, but 1:3 is our primary target. Okay, so this high will be our primary target for the GBP JPY setup. So this is what we're expecting to play out on GBP JPY, a buy from this particular level. Now we have similar bias on Euro JPY. If you look at the daily time frame of Euro JPY, it has been bullish all through the week, just like the yen basket has been bearish, and we're expecting more and more buys on Euro JPY. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, it's not looking to slow down on its bullish momentum so far. Now that price has broken the high of Asia and we're seeing the retracement, at any point from here, I'll be expecting my buy on Euro JPY. So first point of interest on Euro JPY is this particular level. So I want to see price enter here, and then I'll take my buy on Euro JPY. So this is what I'm expecting to play out on Euro JPY. So with my 15 pips stop loss, I'll be targeting 45 to 50 pips as my take profit. And if you look closely on Euro JPY, it looks like it still has more and more heights to travel on the upside. We're expecting Euro JPY buy all through the day. So you can see how we are playing out our analysis little by little, and hopefully it comes to our point of interest so that we can enter our buy setup. Okay, so this is our bias on Euro JPY. All right, sorry for that brief interruption. We're going to be proceeding on today's analysis as we look at commodity currencies, and to show us the way through expected market setup for today on commodity currencies. We have Abby, who's going to be sharing her thoughts and her bias on commodity currencies. Good morning, Abby.
Good morning, CJ. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the session once again. So we're going to be looking at the commodity currencies market right away to see what has played out so far and beautiful opportunities that present themselves today. Starting off, as we always do, looking at AUD/USD from the H1 time frame. You see that we have a bunch of markups here, but for the sake of those of us who are just joining for the first time, and also being very aware that this is an indicator-based strategy and already looks choked up on its own, I wouldn't want anyone to get confused. So for that, let's take everything off and start all the way from the top, shall we? So looking at AUD/USD on the H4 time frame now, you see that price has been buying all the way from here to the top side, buying and breaking structures to the upside. However, I also noticed that there is no solution that has been prepared on the lower part right here. So there's a possibility that price can just keep buying, either print a sunshine or tap into this fair value gap, which is already reacting from a to right? Moving to the 1 hour time frame to now see what exactly is happening here. Price has been buying from here. Go ahead and mark out our major points of interest, which the first would now be 0.69706. The second would be 0.69893, right? Price on the 1 hour time frame of AUD/USD is looking like it is caught in some sort of range though. It's looking like it's in a range. So let's go to the 5-minute time frame and mark out yesterday's highs and lows and see what happens here. Maybe it will give us a clearer picture of what the higher time frames are going to be doing. So we'll go ahead and mark out yesterday's high into today's price movements. This level basically acting as a future resistance that could bounce back price to the downside. Mark out day before yesterday's high. Mark out yesterday's low all the way down here. Day before yesterday's low all the way down here. Right? You would notice that day before yesterday's low happens to be in confluence with our pullback indicator. Price already coming back to retest yesterday's low. AUD/USD, all things being equal, should give us something like this: break above this zone and a bit more pullback into this level before the sell either resumes. And by that, I mean that this temporal buys we've been seeing changes direction. However, if price violates all of these zones to the upside, then it is safe to say that AUD/USD is going to continue to break more structure points for this particular asset class. So again, I'll take it from the top. For those of us who are quite lost on what I'm saying, this is what I'm looking at on this asset class, right? I'm saying AUD/USD, major structure is to the downside, minor structure, that is following what price has been doing from here to this point, has been printing or breaking structure points to the upside, right? So looking at this now, one of two things will happen, of course, as it is common with the market. It is either price will continue to buy and come and target this resistance point all the way up here before it continues to sell, because price always looks for what? Liquidity. And you see that there's a punch of diagonal liquidity, which although it's safe to say price already cleared some, but there's also a fair value gap here that price could want to trade into. I hope you can see it, right? So price can continue this minor structure points from where it currently is, tapping into this zone before it either continues to sell with a major structure, or it is going to break above this level, continue to print price to the upside, and eventually form a new trend. Looking at the H1 time frame, now we said that yes, price is breaking structure points to the upside. However, from what we currently see happening here, it is currently stuck in a range. So what will happen when price is in a range? Either it breaks up or it breaks down. And that's why we went back to the 5-minute time frame and said, okay, 1 hour is in a range. However, what are you showing me on the 5-minute time frame? This is a level we marked out from the higher time frame, 0.69893, right? Price tapped into it and reacted so swiftly from that point. And this is now the next level that could act as support. This is a previous support. This is a previous resistance that could act as current support. So you see why I'm saying that there's a tendency that AUD/USD is going to react from this zone and give us a teeny weeny bit buy from where it currently is, targeting maybe here, because this is also or can serve as a resistance. This is our trend indicator. And if it is able to break through this point, it is going to be coming all the way here. And then when price now trades into this point of interest or this point of interest or this point of interest, we will now be watching out for what certain characteristic patterns that makes us to know which direction the market will take. But for now, we know that there should be some reaction from here into these POIs. And when price gets to those points of interest, we're going to be acting accordingly and either continuing to sell, provided our characteristic patterns are printed, But if they get violated, then we know that there may be room for more buys of this asset class. What I do know is that because there has been no sunshine printed on the downside, price would eventually come and sell to print a new sunshine. This sunshine indicator you're seeing here basically indicates profit taking, meaning people who ride a move, got here, took profit, got here, right, take profit, and they're not taking profit here, which is why you're saying that I'm saying, okay, this buy could just be temporal here and then continue to sell, hence printing a new sunshine indicator, which would indicate profit taking. Moving to the next asset class, NZD/USD on the H4 time frame. What do I see here? Now, price did all of this range-like move from here, eventually did all of this, and now price currently, what is it doing? Similar to what I did for AU, I'll take all of these out because I want us to be on the same page. If you don't have these indicators, it's understandable. This is for students of our Forex Bootcamp course, where you can take note of the price points, right? So NZD/USD H4, what am I saying? The same thing we saw on AU, but this has moved even further. Price has been buying, minor structure point has been buying. Now, in this case, you see the sunshine indicator I was talking about, right? The sunshine indicator has been printed here. So I know for sure that NZD/USD is going to give me a temporal buy, at least for this session, right? Because of this sunshine indicator that has been printed. Looking at H1, you know that ADUS and NZD/USD also tend to move similarly most of the time. So point of interest 1 now becomes this zone. Point of interest 2 becomes this zone. Point of interest 3 now becomes this zone. So we have 0.57647 as POI1, 0.57957, and 0.58232. These are now the major points. Price has been buying. You see how, even though we had the sunshine indicator proving to us that our price should start to buy, you see how we had the double confluence here, which is also the 1 hour indicator point of interest that price reacted from. It is now targeting the next point of interest, which is right here. So one of two things would always happen at points of interest. Of course, we know that either violate, keep on buying, or respect it and start to react to the downside. So just take note of the level point. So again, I'm going to go ahead and mark out yesterday's high and low, day before yesterday's high and low. Yesterday's high has two confluences, a level we marked out for 1 hour and the 5-minute time frame, 2 in 1. And then mark out day before yesterday's high as well into today's price movement all the way here. Then go ahead and mark out yesterday's low. And day before yesterday's low. Right? So day before yesterday's low is right where my trend indicator is, which is making me believe that NZD/USD is going to buy from here, targeting this zone before we either see a reaction of this point of interest on the downside. But what we do know is that this is most likely going to be our take profit. You see, this strategy is very beautiful for scalping opportunities as well. Target from here to here, take profit at this zone, and then wait to see either if price breaks through or respects it and starts to react from there to the downside, right? Finally, looking at USD CAD now on the H4 time frame. USD CAD on H4 time frame majorly is to the upside. Price has been buying for a while. Minor structure points is onwards, temporary sales. Sunshine was printed, so this buy was expected, tapped into a point of interest and started to react to the downside. So we have an idea of what price is doing on H4. Let us move to the H1. On the H1 time frame now, what do we see? Price is currently also in a range. If it is not obvious, it is what? Dubious. So we're going to leave this until price separates, go down to the 5-minute time frame and mark out yesterday's highs and lows. Thank you. So these levels have now all been marked out. Price is currently reacting off of day before yesterday's low, which is why we're seeing price doing this. So on the 5-minute time frame, price is tilting more towards the downside. This being a major point of interest that should hold, and we're going to see a quick move from this point to the various minimum this point, which is about 16 pips, right? So price is already looking like it's going to hold from here. If it doesn't hold from this zone, it's going to come and trade into this particular zone first before it either continues to sell, or it is going to continue the major trend. But the minor structure point is what sells, price is factor, so eventually they should all catch up. So this is basically it for my view on commodity currencies. Quickly, we're going to move into the next session, which is going to be covering indices. I believe we're all ready for that. All right, so don't go anywhere. We are going to be moving on to the next asset class.
All right, thank you for that analysis on the commodity asset class. Very briefly, we'll be looking at a recap of what we had earlier this week on the indices markets. I mean, the US 30, NAS 100, and S&P 500. Right, we have a very beautiful week. We had some levels marked out, and I'll be showing my screen so that we can all see that level. All right. Okay, I believe you can see my screen. Just a simple recap, right? This is the chart markup of the YouTube replay of what happened last week. The levels I marked out so you can see live and direct on 20th of July, 2026. That's on Monday. Look at the levels we marked out. This other block on 5 minutes for US 100, that's NASDAQ, as you know, and the second order block just below it, which we marked out for a buy, all things being equal. And of course, see what the market did, right? Today, look at the recap. Exact level, price came in, dug deep into it, almost took us out, but thank God we were very generous with our stop levels, right? So we're still in the trade, and then eventually what happened? We saw the market went straight to our TP. Look at the smooth trade. If for any reason price even wanted to take you out, say your stop loss was very tight, we shouldn't be. This is a very generous stop loss for a 5-minute entry. And then for any reason anything happens here, you had the opportunity to still re-enter, because this shows that there was a shift of structure, a minus shift of structure here, right? Which indicates that, okay, sellers are about to really go big into the market. And see what happened next. We had our take profit to the upside. That is the first trade. And then look at the second entry we had, right? The second entry we had, which is this 5 minutes order block, right? On Friday, that was created. That was the second trade on NAS 100 that we give on Monday. For those that want to see how we did the analysis, I just showed you a recap of that trade. Go to our YouTube channel and then check out. Of course, this had a longer risk to reward, right? These are the longer risk to reward. Look at our YouTube channel, look for the market color, search for the market color that happened on the 20th of July, and you would see, you know, all of the setup. This is it. As you can see, we have these areas marked out, this first zone, second zone. Why did I take this trade? A quick recap. Because there was some form of inducement. The market already shifted structure on the lower time frame, not on the higher time frame, right? And then even the higher time frame is also very, very much bullish. Of course, we didn't capture the recent news from President Trump sanctioning and giving tariff again to their trading partners, right? Countries, you know, Canada and the rest, and also the recent Iran-US issues that have started again, reignited just in the last 2 to 3 days. So that wasn't captured, but when we did the analysis, the market was bullish, structure was bullish, right? And then we've seen like a shift of structure to the upside. And then we had the 5-minute order block, which we did. In fact, as at Monday, it was 1:7 risk to reward, and the second trade was 1:9, right? But we can see what the market really gave in terms of trade opportunity. This gave us 1:13, right? In fact, 1:14. This is 13.96.
right? RR, and then of course this one is still, you know, in development phase, but at the peak of it, we had a 1:5 from this second trade that is still currently playing out. So you can see the objective. It's not rocket science. These are strategies we teach in the academy. So this is like a recap of what happened with NASDAQ. It was called live. You can literally see the recap of when we are calling the trade live. On US 30, also we had this trade on US 30, although US 30 didn't materialize fully, right? We had a sweep of structure, a break to the upside, price coming back to that level. At the height of it, it did 1:3, right? 1:3 actually, 3.5, okay? 1:3.4, and then eventually did what? Return and stop us out, right? If you are following this trade, obviously, I'm sure you'll see something off the table or on break even. Why US 100 gave us a smooth ride to the upside, right? We had a smooth ride with NASDAQ trade. So these are the type of setup we look out for in the market, and we're able to scout this. Doesn't happen every day, but when it happens, we capitalize on it. Just imagine we called it live on Monday. If you were to pass the prop firm, will have your certificate by now, because this one is to 13 already, and then the second one will have also helped you, right, to scale your either prop firm account or personal funded account. So that's it for today on the indices market. By next week, we'll be looking at also opportunities again that might be in this market. Ensure you are taking advantage of these opportunities. All right, very quickly, we'll be moving to the DXY market, right? We'll be watching what is happening with DXY and also Euro USD, GBP USD, for those that trade the pound and the euro. All right. Thank you. To the next one very quickly. Ensure you don't go anywhere.
Thank you very much for that very wonderful analysis, Demola. Let's head straight to the XY to see what happened during the course of the week. On Monday, we're actually looking out for buy opportunities on the XY. We've been speculating the price will retrace into 107.143 and keep selling to the downside. So there's still more room for buys on the XY on the weekly time frame. And on the daily time frame, we've seen that this week has actually been bullish, and I am looking out for price to clear out the high at 101.556. The 4-hour time frame, we've seen that the most recent transaction is actually bullish, and there's liquidity, diagonal liquidity here for price to grab and keep trading to the upside. Seeing that we have established that we're looking out for more buy opportunities on the XY, we're bullish. There's nothing to be confused about. We want to see price retracing right back into this left shoulder, 100.736, shoulder sweep break, return right back into this level, and I want to keep longing DXY on the 1-hour time frame. So this is my long position. Once price retraces into this level, I'm looking out for more buy opportunities. I'm bullish on the XY, and this is what I'm looking out for. And of course, if the XY is buying, Euro USD should be selling. So let's see what the market has for us on Euro USD. We're looking out for price. Beg your pardon, I wasn't sharing my screen. So I have to take that again for DXY. So this is it. We're looking out for price to retrace into 107.143 on the weekly time frame. And on the daily time frame right here, we're looking out for price to clear out the high at 101.547. And on the 4-hour time frame, right, we're looking out for price to clear out this diagonal liquidity. Heading to the 1-hour time frame, we want to see price retracing right back into 100.736, shoulder sweep break, return right back into this left shoulder, and we want to go long on DXY. On Euro USD, the weekly time frame, of course, there's still more room for Euro USD to sell all the way to this left shoulder at 1.06763 on the weekly time frame. Shoulder sweep break, return right back into this level, and we want to go long. However, on the daily time frame, we're seeing that the most recent price action is actually bearish, right? And we're actually speculating that price should retrace at least into this other block before continuing to sell to the downside, but that hasn't happened yet. And we're seeing that price is instead stalling on the daily time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, let's see. 4-hour time frame, there's so much liquidity to be grabbed to the upside, right? But then we should see this move right here for price to trade to the downside first, and then we'll see the move all the way to the upside. It's quite sketchy on Euro USD. Price is stalling, and it's even quite confusing. But on 1-hour time frame, it's more clearer. I beg your pardon, it is clearer rather. So price has, sold all the way to this level. And for me, I want to take sell opportunities on 1-hour time frame. Shoulder right here at 1.14143. Sharp sweep to the upside and a break to the downside. Once price retraces into this level on 1-hour time frame, I actually want to short Euro USD. I want to short Euro USD once price retraces into our point of interest, which is 1.14143. On GBP USD, weekly time frame as seen right here for GU, price is kind of stalling, the most recent price action, but eventually we should see price breaking below this range into this left shoulder at 1.24683. And on the daily time frame, right, I'm speculating and anticipating that price should clear out the low right here at 1.131360. Right, I'm looking out for more sell opportunities for price to clear out the low right here at 1.31360. And on the 4-hour time frame, we're seeing that most recent price action is actually very bearish, right? Breaking to the downside. What we're looking out for on 1-hour time frame is actually entries. None has materialized yet. Let's head to the 15 minutes time frame to see if we can find an entry based on the classic box pattern. There is none at the moment, but once that happens, we will be dropping it in the market color support group. With that being said, we've come to the end of today's market color session. See you all by 8:30 a.m. on Monday morning. Cheers and God bless.